What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite for a video that I didn't expect to be making here for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the expansion of Liberty Falls, which allegedly is releasing during Season 1 of Black Ops 7. Definitely stay tuned. Now, there's quite a bit we're going to break down, a lot of which is rumored, but I do want to start with the official information that we know so far about the Season 1 update for the upcoming Call of Duty. So, as per usual, I think we're going to end up seeing a big panel during COD Next that showcases Season 1 a little bit as far as what the new Warzone map is, the integration. They'll probably give more info on carry forward. I know as of now there are a lot of folks talking about the quote-unquote exceptions that we may end up seeing to carry forward, which I think is just going to be limited to score streak, equipment, or vehicle skins. But I think it is worth mentioning that since carry forward is pushed back to Season 1, of course excluding Gobblegums and XP tokens, which do transfer day 1, I think because they're waiting a little while to do carry forward this time, unlike MW3, that could give the studios an opportunity to maybe work on a skin filter of some sort, which would prevent players from seeing, let's say, cel-shaded or crossover material in the form of operators. But as confirmed in the Black Ops 7 reveal blog post, Warzone's integration will begin at Season 1. All content, including operators, weapons, and blueprints from Modern Warfare 2, 3, and Black Ops 6 will carry forward with some caveats and exceptions. Weapons will also continue to be tuned for Warzone. And on top of that, your rank in Warzone will stay the same even when Black Ops 7 releases, but your Warzone rank will then be synced with Black Ops 7's ranking system once Season 1 ends up dropping. But this is also going to be the first time that 4 different Call of Duty titles are going to be integrated with Warzone at a single moment in time. Obviously, it can make us worried about bugs or other balancing issues, but the way I see it, they're probably not going to touch Modern Warfare 2 or 3 weapons throughout the BO7 Warzone lifecycle. I think every now and again, you may see a BO6 weapon pop up as like a top 5 meta weapon for that season, but I don't think Modern Warfare content's going to be all that relevant, and I do believe MW4 next year will probably be a big reset where that'll be the only game integrated with Warzone. Now, I saw this clip floating around of a futuristic looking Rebirth, and I can't lie, I really do want to see a futuristic map for the Black Ops 7 Warzone update. I mean, even reskins of Verdansk and Rebirth would probably go a long way. However, you would likely still see people complaining that they just want to see the classic versions of those maps, and that the futuristic reskins may have ruined the identities of those iconic Warzone locations. But I've said this many times before, I think when you don't see a big BR map for Season 1, it doesn't really help people transition over into the new version of Warzone. Obviously, you're going to see some movement updates and other mechanics likely introduced through the Gunsmith, as we've seen with many recent Warzone integrations, but I feel like when it's just a Resurgence map they add in during the first season, you'll have a lot of big Warzone players or content creators and streamers that don't really ever play it and kind of just stick to the regular BR map that's available, to the point where the sentiment, at least on social media, is that Warzone is still stale and didn't really add too much new, instead took things away as the game integrates with a lot of the features and mechanics of the new Call of Duty. There have also been some talks that until MW4, we're not going to end up seeing a BR map rotation because of last gen support. If MW4 cuts off last gen, that means no more PS4 or Xbox One compatibility. Then at that point, somehow COD HQ would be able to rotate big BR maps, at least 2 or 3 at a time. So since they're not going to get rid of Verdansk anytime soon, that would mean that Verdansk could probably still be the BR map over the course of Black Ops 7, but that doesn't mean we can't have rotating Resurgence maps as we saw back with Modern Warfare 2. I know Avalon also seems like a slam dunk for a big new BR map. I think last year I would have preferred to see that during Season 1 than if they would have added Area 99 by, like, I don't know, Season 4 or 5. I think it would have been a much different year for the Black Ops Warzone era. I think if they could have had Verdansk and Avalon side by side, but with Avalon already taking up a couple of levels of the campaign and the entirety of the open world of Endgame, I think that's just too much Avalon, especially with the fact that a lot of the Black Ops 6 MP maps take place in Avalon as well. So I'm cool with not seeing Avalon in Warzone in favor of something original and something different. I also doubt the map we're about to talk about will be the only new Warzone map for Black Ops 7, so hopefully a futuristic one does end up dropping later down the line. Now, before we continue, I want to let you know about today's sponsor, Aniba, an online marketplace that offers the best deals on digital gift cards, game codes, and even DLC. Users can also earn cashback on select purchases so that they can play more and spend less. If you want to check out Aniba, then click on the special link down below in this video's description or the pinned comment. And thank you to Aniba for sponsoring tonight's video. So a little while back, there were rumors that we would be seeing not just co-op campaign on Avalon, but that we would also see Outbreak support on Avalon. What I believe ended up happening is the usual leakers and data miners probably misinterpreted information about what is going to be the endgame experience. I think that's where a lot of the zombie leaks came from when it comes to Avalon. That was all probably just referring to endgame, which does actually feature some zombies in it, as we saw in the recent direct. Now, we'll get back to Outbreak a little bit later in this video, but a few days ago, Insider The Ghost of Hope did claim that a new Resurgence map is coming during Season 1, and that it wouldn't be a BR map. Now, could the map be like Vandal, where it supports both BR and Resurgence? I think that's probably likely going to be the case, just so that there is something fresh for BR, maybe even the Return of Champions quest later this year. But Hope followed up today by saying that the Resurgence map we're going to be seeing in the first season of BO7 is going to be an expanded Liberty Falls. Yes, you heard that correctly. Liberty Falls connected with what is likely the Rewind multiplayer map, the Mansion from Shattered Vale, and the Janus Towers from The Reckoning, all in one big experience that I think a lot of Zombies players were hoping we would see in a new Outbreak. That's actually going to be coming to Warzone according to this rumor. Now, it looks like this shot from the Reckoning reveal trailer actually makes some sense now, because although Samantha could throw you up into the sky during the boss fight, there really isn't a moment during DLC 4 where all of your teammates can just parachute onto the top of the Janus Towers. This looks like it could have been a shot from Warzone, and I honestly believe that it was. Now, the question is, how much depth will this Warzone map have? Is it possible that some of the areas of each of these round-based maps get closed off? Because there's obviously quite a few underground areas of Shattered Vale and The Reckoning. Will all of that be playable in Warzone? I highly doubt it. I don't think any Warzone map has really worked like that before, where there's too much to explore underground, maybe one level at the very most. But there's even the multiplayer map Rewind, which also takes place in the town of Liberty Falls, and while it's a little bit difficult to free roam and kind of go out of bounds to see this entire space, these maps are indeed connected. I mean, you can even see from Zombies alone that there are some bridges that connect some of these areas, and these locales aren't too far from one another, so I could definitely see this working as either an Outbreak or a Warzone experience. But with the combination of all these maps, of course excluding the underground and Easter egg areas, this is still a pretty big space. That's why I'm hoping this does end up supporting regular Battle Royale as well, because I feel like this could end up being the largest Resurgence map that we've maybe ever gotten if it does support Resurgence by Season 1. But with the town of Liberty Falls playing an important role in the Dark Ether story, I really do have high hopes that we're going to be seeing Easter eggs and the inclusion of some type of zombie AI in specific areas, maybe the addition of wonder weapons. This is a map that has a lot of potential for good post-launch support. And I once called Fortune's Keep the gold standard for how to release a new Warzone or Resurgence map because of how many quests there were, the inclusion of zombies through a contract, and the Wonder Wah for the ray gun, which were also usable. But I think Stadium just recently in Season 5 kind of created a new gold standard for how to do blueprint Easter eggs day one. I mean, there were 3 blueprints added in on the release of Season 5, and then we also had the free Tracer blueprint also added in through all the Warzone maps just a couple of days ago. So if this map ends up having a ton of replayability with side quests, free unlockable cosmetics, whether it's blueprints, operator skins, wonder weapons, this could shape up to be one of the most well-received Warzone maps in a long time. But I do believe this rumor will continue to fuel the discourse you see online about the Warzone-ification of zombies. I mean, it's one thing to have zombie maps pulled from a Warzone map, but it's another thing to have zombie maps turned into a Warzone map. That's something that I think is going to spark some interesting comments down below. The way I see it, if you want to combine maps that were built for zombies into a big Warzone space, I honestly don't mind that. If anything, it'll probably give off aura like the Blackout map did, which also combined a ton of unique POIs into one big space. But I've always loved the idea of seeing expansions or extensions to zombies maps when it comes to multiplayer or even Warzone. I mean, look back at BO4, for example. You had Der Schatten, the town below Der Eisendrache. You had Remnant, which was a museum of a ton of different zombie POIs and relics and ideas. So if they want to keep doing things like that, I'm open to it, especially if the zombie maps are as unique as can be. Luckily, the atmosphere of Shattered Vale and Reckoning are much better than what we saw in Liberty Falls, but there was a rumor a little while back about BO6 round-based maps carrying forward into Black Ops 7. I think that's also a case, like I mentioned earlier, of leakers and data miners misinterpreting information that was completely out of context. If they saw some evidence that Black Ops 7 systems or weapons or something were usable visible on, let's say, Liberty Falls, that was probably just referring to the Black Ops 7 Warzone integration, which included the Liberty Falls round-based maps in the new BO7 ecosystem. But it's one thing if you carry forward a couple of multiplayer maps, let's say for face-off, or let's say just for regular 6v6. I think it's another thing entirely to carry forward entire round-based maps, just for the ability to use, let's say, the new wall jump, or the BO7 futuristic weapons. You would totally make Black Ops 6 completely obsolete, just by carrying forward those zombies maps, because at that point, then what would be the point of ever playing BO6 again, apart from, let's say, the campaign? Now, with the rumor about Outbreak on Avalon, I also think that the most zombies we're going to get on Avalon will be through the endgame mode, but if, let's say, the Resurgence Liberty Falls map is successful, I don't think any players out there would mind if we saw Outbreak on that map. The only question would be how that would tie into the story, since all the round-based maps of BO7 will take place in the Dark Ether. So could it be a full nighttime Dark Ether filter over this big space that we're also going to see in Resurgence? That could also be a cool update that maybe releases later on in the BO7 cycle. But hey, Alcatraz for Mob of the Dead was then reimagined for Blood of the Dead, and then that turned into Alcatraz Portals for Blackout, followed by what ended up turning into Rebirth Island for Warzone. So we've seen an iconic zombie location turned into a successful map for a Battle Royale or Resurgence mode, so let's at least give this map a chance. I'm just hoping that this doesn't turn into an Area 99 situation where resources and dev time are put towards this Warzone map, and then you end up seeing the map get vaulted after 2 seasons or something. So long as they don't end up vaulting Rebirth with Season 1 of BO7, I think people will give both maps a chance if they're both playable at once, but if you take one away, that could probably end up hurting the reception of the other new map. Now, I think it's also worth thinking about if we're going to end up running into Citadel de Mor or the Tomb, the excavation site at least, above ground, when we end up jumping into Endgame, which takes place over the entirety of Avalon. Some folks would probably consider it smart that they've laid out a bunch of different maps and POIs over a big space that they were able to pull from for various multiplayer and zombie updates, but I know there's other folks that reasonably have criticism that they want zombie maps or even MP maps to feel very different and stand alone from the big Warzone space. I think zombie players are probably going to eat this one up even if they aren't the biggest fan of Warzone. It might encourage them to get involved with Warzone a little bit, but with the part of the Ghost of Hope tweet that says that not a lot of people liked it, I'm assuming the people that have played it thus far just care about Warzone and aren't too big into zombies. So if they're unfamiliar with the layouts of these round-based maps, they probably weren't really vibing with it at first, but need more time to adapt to it. Then again, I wouldn't expect some of the biggest sweats in the Warzone scene to really like zombies or the idea of a zombie map turning into a Resurgence map, on top of the fact that they really only play BR, not too much Resurgence anyway, so I guess we'll see how the reception ends up turning out once we end up seeing it either at COD Next, or of course within Season 1. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on an expanded Liberty Falls, just not how we expect? The fact that it could be for Resurgence instead of Outbreak is certainly a surprise that wasn't on anybody's bingo card today, but leave our thoughts down below. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.